And welcome back to Kent Davidson Urban Adventures. We're looking at another blue plaque. John Christopher Smith, Handel's friend and secretary, 1712 to 1763, lived and died here. And just adjusting the phone and camera. Yes, welcome back. Part 3 of our Secret Soho Explore. It's Saturday, January the 30th, 2021, just coming up to 3 o'clock. And we're in London's West End, just checking out some of the nooks and crannies, the back alleys, etc., etc. And there's pretty much pretty much character on every street. So that's what we're about, and going to try and bring you some of that. And just like a bit of the brickwork on there. This building here was for years a factory. I think it connected to paint, and there was a very evocative piece of lettering across the middle of it saying what it was, and it's sadly been removed. It was on there for many years, so I can't tell you what it was. It was something like the sort of something Oxford Street paint factory, something like that, but it was just a bit special, bit of heritage. But that's all disappeared, and you've just got this word medius there, so a bit of a shame, but we will press on. So this is part 3. I've done 2 previous recordings today, all in Soho, and this should conclude the business for today. I found that both previous episodes ran on close to 50 minutes, approaching an hour, so I thought I needed a part 3. Thomas Sheraton, furniture designer, lived here 1751 to 1800. Okay, let's go for a walk. It's cold, it's wet, it's about 3-4 Celsius, so upper 30s Fahrenheit. Still ain't gonna complain. There's plenty of cities around the world with some severe winter weather, so this is nothing to be bothered by. And like this sign here, my snug room. No idea what kind of business it is or was, but a decent name. And we've got to have a look down here. Wardour Mews, W1. And ends right there. Yeah, I do like a bit of that. Your old Soho atmosphere there. Most people associate this district of London with partying, with busy bars and clubs, busy restaurants, and certainly that is its heritage, and that's what keeps it going. But it also has all these quirky little side streets and mews, back passages that remind one of an older Soho of the 19th century. And this is what I promised you earlier. This is another of London's historic record shops, Sister Ray, also on sisterray.co.uk. And again, these independents, how they're going to fare in this economic climate, I don't know, but not allowed to trade. The government has made it illegal for businesses like this to make a livelihood. So whether it can continue under those circumstances in the future remains to be seen. But a great place for your classic vinyl. This is rock, pop, prog, jazz as well, hard metal, just a bit of everything really. And let's see what we can see. Yeah, I was just checking the glass is deliberately like mottled like that, shall we say, sort of that translucent glass, I guess, to sort of stop people sort of having too close a look. Or I could be talking bollocks, it might just be a weather condition. And in fact, you can see those vinyls are more visible now down the bottom. So that's a bit of that, but look at those great covers. As I said before, I think CDs are just very tinny, very disposable, but vinyl is a whole other matter, just so collectible, and the artwork is as much a part of the experience as the music. And what was this? There was I thought there were other, oh, here we go, Reckless Records. Yeah, there were a number just in this area here. And there's the Fab Four, Beatles there, plenty of other figures. Looks like Amy Winehouse up there, Bob Marley, just a lot of different iconic people. And that's very much your rock heritage there. It's Reckless Records. And this street was actually featured on the front cover of one of the Oasis albums. I think on the cover of, was it What's the Story, Morning Glory? Was that the album in which the view was from north to south, but I think further up the street. There's a interesting bit there. And there's something there about a 1960s Scandy lounge. So that's a Scandinavian coffee bar by the look of it. And where we are now is Varric Street. You can actually just see the old sign missing the B there. And we're going to go down Darleby Street, although we're not because the footpath is closed. We'll go on to the next one. So all that's open today are the takeaway places, one or two offering food and drinks to takeaway. And shall we go up here? Yeah. So really this district and much of central London is all a bit less interesting than I think it was in the 20th century. The individual landmark institutions, premises, places, etc. So many have gone, and what's appeared in their place will be a quite often just a business or commercial office space. I have no answers to it. It's how things are. This place here that's now called Glassworks was an old classical music record shop called Harold Moore's Records, and it was just a real little treasure place, a gem there, but that's no more. That was an iconic place for many years for those into classical music. It had a giant collection of sheet music and was I think a go-to place for many musicians. And we are on Poland Street, and there's another blue plaque up there. Percy Bysshe Shelley, 1822, poet, lived here in the single year of 1811. So once again, just referencing the history here, the history that stretches back through the 20th century, before the war, before the First World War, into the 19th century, connections to great painters, composers, writers, and then of course even further back to the 18th century. So just a lot to take in here. And there's this car park here which is heavily graffitied, may or may not be of interest. And let's go back up here. So this is the other side of Darleby Street. And I'm spotting another muse which looks like we may need to explore. Portland Muse, City of Westminster. And of course we're back here then. R.N. Cattle and Sons, Portland Works. So that's interesting. So we better leave that then. So I've really come full circle and sort of ended up at the end point, I think, of the first video today, or the second video. showing you the wet and empty streets of the West End of London. Yeah, the hands are feeling a touch of the old wind chill, so this video may be a bit shorter than the other two. And then I've got something quite bizarre here. This is called Mixmax, and there's a lot of Christmas stuff, of course, so the window has not been altered since then. And there's a figure from the past, Donald Trump with a cigar there, and various heads and other bits and pieces. And there's your leader, no comment. Anyway, let's carry on. Yeah, I think in a previous video I referred to Boris Johnson as a cross-eyed lying bastard. So I was perhaps slightly unparliamentary, but it is what it is. And Livonia Street, have we? Oh yes, we did go down there. And I do like this sign up here. This is CAS Arts, and this "Let's fill this town with artists" is a pretty good bit of wording, I think. When I worked as a bookseller, I wanted to put the wording "Let's fill this town with readers" on the front of the building. Thought it was a good idea. The manager thought not, so we never went with that. But let's just have a look down here. This was where I was earlier, Duck Lane, looking at these records here, but just see where this goes. And there's a pretty decent old bit of signage there. S. Borovic Limited, Silk and Woolen Merchants, 6 Duck Lane, rear of 16 Varric Street. So that itself was worth the price of admission. That was worth coming down here for, just to see these kind of details. And this is just such an old little corner of Soho. I mean, look at the work up there, the drain pipe, the windows, the glass. I mean, you have to be on foot, you have to be willing to come down these kind of places to see these sort of details. A car or a bus or a bicycle, it just won't get you up close and personal. I mean, as I said, just looking at that little sign in there, I mean, it's just worth the effort to get into these places. And there's a agent provocateur shop just there. let's go up here. So you have this pub here, the Ship. Ah, that's interesting. On one of my previous videos, I make a reference to the black and white check and its possible connections to Freemasonry. So do recommend you doing some research into that. But this pub is a Fuller Smith and Turner and has this, just quite attractive lettering, and look up there. And there's this mural here on the ground, not sure exactly what that means. But, yeah. And this is called Suntans Court, and that's where we've just come from. Yeah, she's rather pretty if it wasn't for all the coloured scribbling all over her face. There's a bit of history here. It says Clarion House stands on an historic site in Suntans Court, which passed from the Crown to the Dukes of Portland in the 17th century. For 2 centuries, the court was a haven for political refugees from France and Switzerland, and in modern times from Eastern Europe. The historic houses were demolished in 1967, but in the 1980s the site was brought back into housing for use by local people in the Soho Housing Association. So there's Suntans Court looking that way, and just getting an angle on the rooftops and the chimneys up there. And you've got a trad fish and chip shop there. Let's go down here. And this was or is the Soho Theatre, but of course no performances, no productions can be put on at the moment. And here comes the boys in blue. Yeah, luckily they didn't stop to ask me why I'm 10 or 12 miles away from where the government and the media thinks I should be, which is hiding under my bed. But I ain't been stopped yet, so may that continue. Let's go down here. One thing on the police, I read, or I came across a piece online. It was possibly exaggerated. You could say it's a conspiracy, but one of the comments was that someone suspected that both the police and the emergency services, the ambulance, were putting on their sirens when it's not necessary. So, for example, you might hear 3 or 4, 5 loud siren beeps, but then it stops, and then silence, and then it starts up again. Whereas in a sort of traditional emergency, surely you would hear a continual siren going until the vehicle was out of your earshot. But these intermittent blasts of sirens and then stopping, and then you hear it again, like 4 or 5 siren beeps, then stops, and it starts up again. It's a bit weird, isn't it? My view is that like almost everything else in the world, I do not know the truth. I can only go with a gut instinct or an intuition, but I'm putting it out there for you, and it's up to you to make of it what you will. Coming up to 30 minutes, so I think I'll probably end the recording now. We're coming into Soho Square, and this was quite an iconic corner here. It was, I think, the 20th Century Fox building, or there was a reference to British cinema, and the sign has disappeared. So I don't know what that means, but there was a film or cinematic reference that always appealed to me here. Anyway, there's Soho Square Gardens, and you can see that the actual square itself is a pretty impressive original 18th century square. Of course, can't really be appreciated so well these days, but it was a bit special. And I'll just show you this. This is the Toucan Bar, a sort of Guinness bar, but it's got some fine details on there. Your ubiquitous London pigeon. And also Nellie Deans of Soho there, another fine pub bar that's not in business now. But the building next to it is again quite impressive older Soho building, so I'll just show you. And that is just there. Look at this. Stationer and newsagents, Ripon, and the old house above there. And there's Jazz at Pizza Express, which was a great jazz club in the past. In the basement you could hear live music, and I did see one or two things there in the past, so that was a good place. And we're back on the street where we started, Carlisle Street, and 30 minutes ago this is where we began the recording. So thanks again for watching. You've been watching Kent Davidson Urban Adventures, and for more of the same, check out my channel where you'll see plenty more of hidden London. Thanks again, and bye for now.